another terror attack with Ankara link. Erdogan's terror CV adds feather. He has funded anti India groups. His son was linked to ISIS trade, as Turkey denies link to New Delhi terror blast.
Well, after the Delhi blast on November the 10th, the unraveling of the terror networks has shocked everyone. Yesterday, the white-collar terror module came to light and Faridabad's Falah University was under scrutiny by NIA as several suspects were doctors from this university. Today, the investigation has stirred into another direction, keeping everyone at their toes. Hello and welcome. You're watching Explained by NewsX with me, Vineet Malhotra. Investigators probing the Red Fort blast have traced a key link between the arrested suspects and a foreign handler operating from Ankara, Turkey. A reported Jaish-e-Mohammed handler operating from Ankara, codenamed Ukasa, has brought this aspect to the plot and to the fore. In Arabic, Ukasa means spider. Well, it is being believed that Ukasa was in direct contact with the main accused, Dr. Umar Nabi, and his associates. To remind the viewers, a DNA test has confirmed that the man who carried out the blast near Red Fort was in fact Dr. Umar Nabi. A senior police officer disclosed that Umar's leg was found trapped between the steering and the accelerator, indicating he was driving the Hyundai i20 when the blast occurred. Let's zoom back into the case of Ukasa. Umar Nabi was in contact with Ukasa through the Session app. Unlike Telegram or WhatsApp, Session app does not require a mobile number for registration and it does not store chat metadata like message times, locations or contacts. Though it requires the internet, the app hides the user's real location by sending messages through several servers instead of directly. This makes it hard to trace where the message is coming from and keeps the user's identity more private. So it does not need a phone number, there is end-to-end encryption and there is no central server involved. All of this makes it impossible to trace messages or identify users. The NIA suspect that Ukasa may not be the handler's real name but a code name used to conceal his identity. Now it is being believed that Ukasa was primary in radicalizing the doctors. Ukasa coordinated the group's movements, finances and radicalization efforts directly from Ankara. Agencies are now examining chat stories and histories, call logs and recovered digital devices to establish the full scope of the network's activities and its possible links to Pakistan-based terror groups. To solidify this connection to Turkey, sources are also saying that several individuals linked to the Faridabad terror module had travelled from India to Ankara in March 2022. It is suspected that during this visit, they came in contact with their handler and were radicalized and recruited into the network. Curiously, on the 9th of November, just before the Delhi blast, Uttar Pradesh ATS arrested Farhan Nabi Siddiqui. He's the co-founder of Istanbul International from Greater Noida. The arrest came after the ATS received intelligence inputs that he was involved in publishing inflammatory material in the Kasna area of Greater Noida under the guise of printing religious literature. According to the ATS, the operation was allegedly being funded through Hawala and other foreign channels, with money coming in from Turkey and Germany. The Istanbul International was receiving around Rs 11 crores in foreign funds via Hawala. Officials also said that foreign nationals from Turkey and Germany stayed at Siddiqui's house without notifying authorities. On the day of the Delhi blast, Siddiqui's Turkish partner, Nasi Torba, who was also co-founder of Istanbul International, absconded. Moreover, investigators found that the funds of 11 crore rupees from Turkey and Germany were used to buy land in Amroha and Punjab in the name of madrasa and mosque and private firms. The police said that preliminary evidence indicates a well-structured network using NGO fronts to promote divisive narratives and launder foreign funds under the guise of religious and educational activities. Amidst all of this, Turkey's Director of Communications Center said in a statement that the reports linking it to terrorism in India were part of a malicious disinformation campaign aimed at damaging bilateral relations. On your screen, you can see the statement. Denying all allegations, Turkey also added that it rejects all acts of terrorism. The embassy further said that the claim that Turkey engages in radicalization activities targeting India or any other country is purely disinformative and lacks any factual basis. A defining sore point in India-Turkey relations under Erdogan has been Turkey's consistent support for Pakistan's position on Kashmir. Erdogan has repeatedly raised the Kashmir issue at international platforms. In September 2025, Erdogan raised the Kashmir issue during the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, where he said that Turkey was pleased with the ceasefire agreement between India and Pakistan, and the Turkish president had also urged the dispute to be resolved on the basis of UN resolutions through dialogue. This clip translated by UN. Let's listen it.
At all times, esteemed friends, in South Asia, we consider the preservation of peace and stability to be of utmost importance. We are pleased with the ceasefire achieved following the tensions last April between Pakistan and India, the tension which had escalated into a conflict. It is important to see a cooperation between the two countries when it comes to counterterrorism. The issue of Kashmir should be resolved on the basis of resolutions of the UN for the best for our brothers and sisters in Kashmir through dialogue.
Well, after the Pahalgam attack, TCG Baykara, a Turkish Navy cruiser, was called at Karachi port. In addition, 6 Turkish military planes, Lockheed C-130 Hercules, also landed in Pakistan. The Indian government said that on the night of May 7th and 8th, the Pakistani army fired Turkey's Songar drones at 36 locations in India. Supply of weapons and a warship visit during conflict with India points at Turkey's active support to Pakistan against India. Under President Erdogan, who has been a dominant figure in Turkish politics since 2003, first as Prime Minister, then President from 2014, India-Turkey relations have experienced periodic tensions punctuated by attempts at engagement. Interestingly, Turkey was among the first countries to recognize India after its independence in 1947, and diplomatic ties were established in 1948. The ties renamed neutral for a long time. However, with Erdogan's ascent to power and his increasing emphasis on a neo-Ottoman foreign policy model, one that seeks to expand Turkish influence across the Muslim world, Turkey's approach towards India began reflecting ideological and geopolitical recalibrations, especially on issues concerning Pakistan and Kashmir. Erdogan's broader ideological project involves recasting Turkey as a spiritual and political leader of the global Muslim Ummah. One of the most explosive and sensitive elements of the story relates to the family and close circle of President Erdogan and allegations of facilitation of ISIS via his family business ties. Bilal Erdogan, the son of Turkish president, has long been at the center of allegations of direct or indirect links between Erdogan family and ISIS, though none have been legally proven. Reports asserted that Turkish company Powertrans, controlled by Erdogan's son-in-law Berat al-Bayrak, paid up to $3 million a day for ISIS oil during the height of the caliphate, and that the Turkish government even passed a law to give that company exclusive rights to tanker transfers. Russia's defense ministry in 2015 publicly accused the Erdogan family of profiting from ISIS oil, though Ankara firmly denied the charges, calling them politically motivated. Analysts argue that Turkey's porous border policies in the early years of the Syrian conflict may have inadvertently allowed jihadist groups to benefit from illicit trade and movement. A 2019 human rights publication claimed that Turkey's government under Erdogan protected Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, founder of ISIS, citing wounded ISIS fighters treated in Turkish hospitals, and that Turkish intelligence provided logistical support to Islamist extremist groups. Reports suggest that the basic problem is that Erdogan, Turkey's president, believes indigenous Kurds in those areas and in southeast Turkey pose a bigger threat than does ISIS. This perceived ambivalence has led to numerous accusations of tacit Turkish support for, or worse still, complicity in ISIS activities since the group swept to prominence in 2014, all flatly denied by Erdogan and his ministers. Whether direct or indirect, the evidence suggests that the Turkish state apparatus or parts of it were permissive of ISIS financing and trade. The role of Erdogan's family remains under intense scrutiny. It is also reported that Turkey facilitates Iran's terrorism. In March 2021, Iranian officials met Turkish businessman Sidki Ayan, President Erdogan's longtime friend, in Beirut to secretly sell Iranian oil to countries like China and Russia, bypassing US sanctions. Ayan's ASB group forged documents, used front companies, and laundered money through global banks, funneling around $1 billion to Iran-backed groups like Hezbollah. And given Ayan's close ties with Erdogan, diplomats believe he acted with at least tacit approval, though Turkey denies any involvement. The US sanctioned Ayan and his firm after Politico's expose, revealing how Erdogan's allies allegedly enabled Iran's covert oil trade while Turkey's geopolitical leverage delayed Western action. While much of the focus has been on Turkey-ISIS links, there is a parallel track: Iran's terror financing networks leveraging Turkey's geography and financial system. Turkey has served as a corridor via sanction-busting gold flows, real estate maritime transit for Iran to move funds or goods to proxies. The underlying infrastructure overlaps with routes used by ISIS or other Sunni terror groups, making Turkey a dual-use node in the terror finance architecture. In the end, Turkey's terror network isn't just about one country, it's a case study in how modern terror financing works, layered cross-border using state and non-state actors alike. For India and the wider world, this means that terror attacks may be engineered far from the blast site, directed from safe havens, facilitated by international finance, washed through legitimate business channels. We take a short break. We'll be back.
Another terror attack with Ankara link. Erdogan's terror CV adds feather. He has funded anti-India groups. His son was linked to ISIS trade, as Turkey denies link to New Delhi terror blast.